Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the Footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. Today, the Russian trawler, which picked up Mary, Harry, Calvin, Pop, and Miss Rogers at sea, has just docked at Rose Wharf in Boston. And our friends are awaiting instructions on proceeding through customs as we hear.
Well, we just have to follow orders now. They said to leave by this gangplank and proceed directly to that door over there where it says U.S. Customs.
I discovered that we weren't standing on the orlop deck. That's the lowest deck on a war vessel.
Well, I don't know.
Where they keep cables coiled up. We were on the forward poop.
I thought we were, not on an orlop desk.
No, it didn't seem like an orlop deck to me either. Oh, I see what you mean, Miss Rogers.
What does she mean? I don't know, Mike.
That band assembled there on the dock.
Oh, is that for us, do you suppose?
I don't know. They're waving at us.
Are you wait? Hello. Where the backstages?
I'm Harry Backstage, famous Broadway star. This is my wife, Mary Backstage.
I'm Mary Backstage.
I'm not a backstage, really. I'm Calvin L. Hooverman.
I'm Pop, beloved stage doorman. I'm also in Westchester Furioso, where I tap dance. That's Miss Rogers, who's going to be added to the cast by Greg. Greg, there's Greg down there in the dock.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Greg.
Welcome to Boston.
Well, we're happy to be here. You wouldn't know what we've been through. We were taken out of Mystic Seaport by Captain...
Well, hold it. Wait till you get through customs and you can tell me everything.
Yes. How soon do we depart the vessel?
Well, as soon as you can get off. As soon as you get an okay from the captain, you can... Can you hear me up there?
Yes, yes.
As soon as you get the okay from the captain, you can leave the vessel.
Well,
okay, strike up the band. Brought a little band along for you.
Hey, that's a very nice touch, Mr. Barlow. A real musical welcome here in Boston. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I have a message for you, Miss Rogers. No, I don't know. I'll see you when you get through customs.
Captain, I wonder if we could have the right to leave the ship, to disembark now.
Do not proceed.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for saving us.
You.
Go ahead, Mary. You first.
All right.
Now me. All right, now we just go through that door over there. Greg,
let me hold the door for you. There you are.
Come right in here, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, hello, sir. We just got off this Russian fishing trawler, and they told us we had to go through customs now.
That's right. Well, it's just a mere formality. My name is Mr. O'Reilly. I'm the customs inspector here. Do you have any luggage?
No, I'm afraid
we don't. You see, do you have time for a story? Because we have a long one to tell you, sir.
Well, wait till I get Mr. Marlowe. He'll hear it at the same time. You won't have to tell it twice. Mr. Marlowe?
I better stay in back of the counter. I don't want to go through customs.
Well, it's just a formality. Let me have that can of spray deodorant there, will you, please?
There you are.
All right.
What in the world is that?
Well, we do this to anybody coming into the country from a foreign vessel.
Oh, hey.
All right. Now, do you want to tell that long story while Mr. Marlowe can hear it?
Hey. You got this stuff all over me.
Well, that's an old suit anyway.
Well, I know it's an old suit, but who needs that all over you?
Well, you see, we stopped at Mystic Seaport, Connecticut.
Smells like a gasoline tank. What's in that stuff, anyway?
Oh, it's a chemical of some kind.
What, does it kill all walking insects or something?
That's right, and it has a very pleasant odor, too, you'll notice.
Not particularly.
Well, anyway, we were shanghaied by Captain Larson aboard the whaling boat, the Morgan, the Charles W. Morgan. He was going to Yokohama.
That's right. He's going to go to Yokohama, then he put us over the side in the dinghy when we explained to him our situation.
Then we were picked up by the Russian fishing boat, the captain of which you just saw there on the orlop deck.
Is that do you follow?
Yes, I think I've got the story. Have you, Mr. Marlowe?
Well, I guess I understand it. Oh, Miss Rogers, I have information for you. You must return to New York immediately.
And So our friends have arrived in Boston and are proceeding through customs. You want to be here tomorrow when we'll hear Greg Marlowe say,
Miss Rogers, you must return to New York. It's very important.
that's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking. Now, I understand you listened to the Bob and Ray show and then you listened to another radio program.
Yes, I did. I compared the two.
And what were the results of your comparison?
Well,
Which one did you like better?
the Bob and Ray show.
And would you tell us why, sir?
Yes, because I averaged 27.3 miles per gallon.
And now, the makers of grime, the magic shortening that spreads like lard, invite you to join us for another episode of The Gathering Dusk. As we look in on the Bessinger household today, Edna is still bedridden. It's late afternoon, and Mr. Fairfax, the crusading editor of the Red Boiling Springs newspaper, is just entering the room.
Oh, crusading editor Fairfax. It was good of you to come over so quickly.
Well, I consider myself a public servant, Edna. When you called, I felt it my duty to come. After all, you've been a loyal subscriber to the Red Boiling Springs Weekly Clarion and Express Herald for a good many years now.
Yes, I always get a lot of enjoyment out of your paper. All except the crossword puzzles. I do get pretty peeved about them.
Well, what's wrong with our crossword puzzles? We haven't had any other complaints.
Well, they just have words in them that no one could possibly know. Now, last week, a 5-letter word for South American anteater. My lands, this is a Midwestern farming community. Did you ever see a South American anteater around here?
No. Well, I suppose they're all in South America.
Well, that's what I mean. I must have asked 5 or 6 people about that word, and not one of them knew. You should stick to pigs and cows and sheep and things like that.
Well, of course, most people use a dictionary or an encyclopedia for words they don't know in crossword puzzles.
Well, that seems like cheating to me. I remember Daddy used to work crossword puzzles, and he'd never use a dictionary.
I also remember that your father would call me up in the middle of the night whenever he'd get stuck on a crossword puzzle. He was a queer duck.
I always looked upon him as a leading citizen.
I'll never forget the time he put window boxes on that Pierce Arrow of his. And then he'd have to stop driving the thing because geraniums grew up in front of the windshield and he couldn't see out.
Well, he was a little bit eccentric about some things, I suppose.
Yes, he was. But I'm sure you didn't call me over here just to talk about your father, Edna. Is there something I can do for you?
Yes, there is, crusading editor Fairfax. I know how your paper has been campaigning against gambling houses in this county, and I thought you should know that there's one of them going full tilt right upstairs over my room.
Oh, that's impossible, Edna. There's nothing above this room except an attic. There isn't even a stairway leading up to it.
I hear the dice rolling up there every night, sometimes until 3 or 4 in the morning.
Well, must be squirrels rolling acorns across the floor. Everybody in town knows you have squirrels in your attic.
My lands, I'll bet that's what it is. Well, you've really taken a tremendous load off my mind, crusading editor Fairfax. I almost feel as if I'm no longer standing in the gathering dusk.
Ladies, there's nothing worse than a shortening that's filled with little pieces of fur and steel filings. That's why you'll go for grime, the magic shortening that spreads like lard. Try some today and be sure to join us next time when Edna goes to the village in the gathering dusk. Now it's time for another informative session with Dr. Elmer Stapley, the word wizard. Dr. Stapley is one of the nation's leading authorities on the meaning and derivation of English words, and he's here to answer questions that you listeners send in about our language and its correct use. You ready to set forth on the first question, Doctor?
Well, Mr. Elliott, your inquisitory remark is not only grammatically implausible, but mathematically resplendent as well. One can't set fourth on the first question because fourth is the number between third and fifth, while first is right before second and after 0, which is purely a hypocritical figure. Thus, fourth, you're asking me to do numbers out of their natural consequence. Do I make myself understated?
Well, not quite, no, but as long as we're into this thing, might as well have you set forth on the first question. To open up this week's session, I have this letter from a woman in Illinois who writes, Why do people riding horseback shout whoa when they want the animal to stop?
Well, I think this woman has just heard a shortified version of the whole thing. Many people who get on a horse for the first time soon wish they hadn't. So they're really shouting, woe is me. But, of course, they usually fall off the horse before they have time to yell anything more than just whoa.
Doctor, I've heard people shout whoa who didn't fall off the horse at all. Don't you want to reconsider your answer?
No, I'll remain disconnected.
All right. Well, I was hoping that's the way you'll remain. You never seem to, though. So we'll take up another question right after we hear this.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway.
At the immigration station on Rose Wharf in Boston, Mary, Harry, Pop, Calvin, and Miss Rogers have just passed through customs. Now we hear Greg Marlowe explaining why Miss Rogers must return to New York and not appear in Westchester Furioso.
I've made arrangements with a psychiatrist in New York, Miss Rogers, who assures me that with proper treatment, he can take care of your dippa-dippa-does, your dippa-dippa-doos.
Say, that's wonderful news, Greg. Oh, I see Miss Rogers is very happy to hear that news.
Yes, he said a matter of 3 or 4 weeks, and he thinks he can steer you out of that. It's a mental block with you, he said, and he thinks he can straighten it out.
It only happens when she tries to talk, you know. She can sing perfectly.
And unfortunately, Miss Rogers, we'll have to eliminate you, of course, from the touring Westchester Furioso. But I want you to know this, Miss Jerry Rogers, that we've admired your spunk, and you've added a lot to Westchester Furioso the short time that we considered having your song in the show.
Yes, that goes for me too, Greg, although I can't say it the same for Mary. I guess she's a little bit relieved to see Miss Rogers leave the cast.
Oh,
right?
I don't know. I just hope that Miss Rogers gets her dippa-dippa-doo straightened out, and maybe she could join us when we get up to Vermont or up Cape Cod later with Westchester Furioso.
Going to miss hearing that song that you added to the show. Do you suppose she could sing it one more time?
Wait a minute, Miss Rogers, speaking for the rest of the cast of Westchester Furioso, before you leave to have your dippa-dippa-dups and your dippa-dippa-doos repaired, I wonder, would you favor us once more with that song that you sang?
Yeah, we'd love to hear it again.
Beautiful Midori.
Would you do it for us?
Dippa-dippa-doo, dippa-dippa-da.
So strange, she could sing so well.
It's part of a mental block.
Where enchantment surrounds you, merely taking your breath away. Friendly people will greet you with their smiles warm and tenderly. It's a bit of paradise underneath Missouri skies, Missouri for me.
Oh, that was great, Miss Rogers. Thank you.
Dippa-dippa-da.
And we'll all miss you, but
Dippa-doo.
good luck. Dippa-doo to you, too.
Yeah, dippa-dippa-dippa to you, Miss Rogers, and we'll see you again real soon.
Now we're off for Chelsea. And so our friends have arrived in Boston. You want to be here tomorrow when we'll hear Greg Marlowe say,
On stage, everybody.
that's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking. Let's move along to another question with Dr. Elmer Stapley, the word wizard. This is from a man in Texas who writes, I keep getting cards in the mail with holes punched in them, and up at the top they always say, do not fold, spindle, or mutilate. I can understand about not folding and spindling, but I thought mutilation was merely what you did to take 4 times 8 and get 32. And that seems harmless. Can you explain the term so I'll understand why they won't let me mutilate if I want to?
Well, that's you early. I've never seen that phrase printed on anything I get in my mail. People who write to me always begin by saying, "Dear occupant."
Yeah, that's a new one on me too, Doctor. Probably just another of those quaint things that people in Texas say to each other, huh? So let's move along to another question. It is from a lady in North Dakota. She says, my husband and I have been invited to go clear down to Bismarck for a party at the governor's mansion. Naturally, I want to appear cultured when I'm introduced to the governor. Should I say, it ain't often that riffraff, the likes of us, goes partying? Or is it more proper to say, it pleasures us right smart to be allowed in your parlor this away?
Well, I think she should just hand the governor a printed card that says, "I do not speak English."
Yeah, I think that's a good tactic to employ when in doubt. I always use cards like that when people from the IRS come around. And they should work just as well as the governor of North Dakota, I guess. So I'm sure that woman's problem is solved. And thanks to you for stopping by and helping her and the other afflicted listeners.
Not at all. I was mortified to come.
Hope all of you will join us again at another time for another informative session with Dr. Elmer Stapley, the Word Wizard. And now the Cretchford Braid and Tassel Company invite you to share another warm, nostalgic episode in the lives of the Pittmans.
I know I shall always remember those carefree years of the Great Depression when I was a boy growing up amid the farmlands of Oklahoma. In my mind, I can still see my father starting out to market in that old truck of his. He would always have the back filled to overflowing with bushel baskets of dust that he had harvested from our fields. That was 40 years ago. But in my memory, it was all like yesterday. I recall particularly well one evening when I arrived home long after sunset to greet my parents with the enthusiasm of boyhood.
Hey, Ma. Hey, Pa, looky. I got a whole dime from that salesman who was showing his line over at the general store today.
Well, I was hoping you might have a good reason for being late to supper, Jimmy Joe. But I'm afraid that hanging around with a dry goods drummer is not much of an excuse.
Oh, I wasn't just hanging around, Pa. He gave me this dime for waxing his car. Of course, I had to buy my own wax, but I still came out 4 cents ahead.
Well, I just don't know about all this, Jimmy Joe. That seems like a great deal of money to give a child just for polishing a car.
I know how stern you are about having us do a day's work for a day's pay, Ma. But this man had just sold 24 pair of socks to a store in Bartlesville, and he was loaded. I even saw him flash a $1 bill.
Oh, I don't see any real harm in what the boy did, Lucretia. You know, he's always saying he wants to be a writer someday. And to do that, a person has to talk to folks who've been out in the world and seen everything there is to see.
Yeah, and this salesman told me all about the exotic places he's been. Ardmore, Stillwater, gosh knows where all. It was so exciting, I scribbled down my childish impressions on this scratch pad. They can be part of my unpublished works when I grow up. Can I read you what I wrote?
Well, maybe someday, but your fried dough's getting cold now.
Oh, this will only take a second, Ma. Here's all I have. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Alf the sacred river ran through caverns measureless to man, down to the sunless sea. That's it so far, Ma.
Well, so far as I'm concerned, that's it, period. The very idea, 12-year-old writing about pleasure domes. I knew they had those in Tulsa, but I hadn't heard about Xanadu.
Well, it's just a mythical place, Ma. I don't see why that's any reason for you to hate the whole poem.
Nah, don't fret, Jimmy Joe. She didn't say she hated it exactly. So why don't you just toss your paper in the fireplace, where it'll help make a nice big blaze. And then you run along to bed, son.
Oh, okay. Good night, Pa. Good night, Ma.
Good night, Jimmy Joe. Good night, Aunt Harriet.
Good night, my dear. Good night, Carruthers.
Good night, baby Lucille. Good night, Fred Jr.
Good night, Ma. Good night, Vice President Garner.
And across the long span of time, I can still hear those dear, sweet voices calling out to me. The love that bound us together then shall bind us together for the rest of our lives.
Good night, Uncle Kermit. Good night, Dick Tracy.
My brothers and sisters have all grown and moved away from the old farmhouse. That was the first home we ever knew.
Good night, windowsills. Good night, Doors.
But somehow, a part of us will always remain behind, there amid the prairies of Oklahoma, where we all grew up together.
This week's episode of The Pitmans has been brought to you by the Cretchford Braid and Tassel Company, makers of fine doodads to hang down from the arms of your overstuffed chairs. Next time you feel the urge to add a touch of splendor to your dismal living room, phone a dealer near you and say Cretchford. And be sure to join us next time for more nostalgic warmth in the lives of the Pitmans.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the footlights and their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway.
It's shortly after our last episode now on Rose Wharf in Boston as Mary, Harry, Pop, and Calvin stand talking with Greg Marlowe, who has just announced that there's been a change in plans. We hear it.
We have this change just been handed to me by my agent, who says that instead of Chelsea, we're being booked now into Meredith, New Hampshire, where we're to open on Wednesday evening.
Well, I wonder if that's such a good idea, Greg. Meredith certainly isn't as big as a suburb of Boston like Chelsea is.
Well, I don't want to question my agent. He seems to know the area completely, and he says that they draw from as far away as Peterborough there in Meredith, and
Oh, that's okay, then.
Hudson, even from all the way over from Hudson, people have been known to come to the theater there in Meredith.
And it's beautiful country up that way, too. You'll really enjoy the bucolic atmosphere.
And I imagine spring is just, maybe 1 or 2 weeks behind what they have back in New York along about now.
Yes, that's true. It should be an ideal time to play Meredith.
Oh, I'm quite thrilled with the prospect because I have so many guests, relatives who live up there.
That's
and I thought maybe I could serve as a guest and maybe we could live at one of my relatives' homes.
Say, that would be good, Calvin.
An old uncle and an old aunt who lives up there in Meredith. So that's very fortuitous.
Hey, that may make it possible for the whole cast to stay with them.
I had thought that maybe we could stay at a motel, but if we could work it out to stay at your relatives, I think that would be great.
That would be a big saving, too, Greg. Get us off on a good financial footing with this tour.
I have this bus here. I've been able to managed to pick this up over here in Cambridge earlier this morning. It's the old Mal Hallett orchestra bus.
Say, that reminds me, we left the Johnny Long bus back in Mystic Seaport,
I've
didn't we?
taken care of that. I'm having it brought back to our office in New York.
Oh, good. Well,
And, it's going to be put up in Bayside, Queens, until we can use it back around the New York area.
are we going to have a driver for this bus, or will we take turns ourselves?
I thought maybe you have a chauffeur's license, don't you?
Yes, I do.
I do too, you know. I have a chauffeur's license.
Oh, and we're in good shape, then.
Where's Pop? I haven't seen him.
Right here, Larry.
Oh, he was standing behind that lobster net there. I couldn't see you.
Yeah, I wish we were going to be here long enough to have a good lobster dinner. I could stand one.
Well, maybe we can get them up in Meredith. How long a ride will that be from here?
Do you know, Greg?
Oh, let's see. We'll go up Route 3, of course. We should be up in Meredith about 2.5 hours or so.
Of course, that isn't the heart of the lobster country like Boston would
So
be.
let's get aboard now, and we can probably stop and get a bite to eat halfway up there.
I haven't had anything since that beef stroganoff on board the Charles W. Morgan.
I wanted to ask you, how was the food on the Russian trawler?
Well, it wasn't too bad once the captain got to know our likes and dislikes. And we were only on there a day or two, you know.
Pretty good, for food that was strange to us. I had no idea what that was we had for breakfast. Do you know what that was?
No, I don't, Larry.
It was French toast.
Oh,
that's
really?
right, yes.
Well, that's...
Then we had some borscht. That was very good, too.
Yeah, that was pretty good, that borscht. And they put whipped cream on it. I thought it was strawberry shortcake that melted in the sun.
Well, that's a surprise taste, isn't it?
Oh, was I ever surprised.
Well, who's going to drive first? Greg, you want me to take over?
If you would, please.
All right.
Then I'll be able to show Mary all of the sights here in Boston as we go through it.
Let's get aboard.
You know your way out of the...
Yes, I think so.
Okay, fine.
Greg? Here we go, then. Say this is the old Mal Hallett bus.
Mal Hallett and his orchestra traveled Canopy Lake Park here to Kimball Starlight.
Oh, yes, in Wakefield.
Right.
Well, we're off for Meredith. Hang on, everyone. Oh, Greg.
Yeah.
What about our luggage?
Oh, darn. I forgot about that.
And so our friends leave Boston, bound for Meredith, New Hampshire, and opening of Westchester Furioso. You want to join us tomorrow when we'll hear Calvin say,
You better stop, Harry. The cop is flagging us down.
that's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking.
And Wally Ballou is standing by with an on-the-scene report now. Come in, please, Wally Ballou.
If that's some kind of a joke back there, I don't consider it funny in any way, shape, or form. This is Wally Ballou at Harold, Long Island with the trophy train. Mr. Gilmore, how are things going?
Pretty good, Mr. Ballou. I like that kind of a jerky theme song they
Well, I
give you
didn't
now.
like it. If that's meant to be something funny and framing my broadcasts, the higher-ups will hear about it in the B&R organization.
Or maybe it's a Bob and Ray joke. I get quite a kick out of it, hearing that lump-dee-dump.
I know how it goes. It didn't strike me as being very funny either.
Well, I tell you, we've had so much heartache here with the trophy train today that any little laugh is more than welcome.
Yeah, I suppose that's
As I
right.
explained earlier to you, we arrived here at Harold Junction this morning, and we were so close to the car wash, you know, where they run the cars through, that we thought we'd run the trophy train through the car wash and get it all spruced up for its stay here in the siding at
Which was a
Harold.
good idea on its own.
Well, yes, it's a good idea, except that somebody, whoever was responsible, and ultimately that would be me because I'm in charge of the train, left the windows open in the trophy car, and we had severe water damage.
Yeah, I can see they're still mopping some of it up there.
They've been mopping since 11 o'clock this morning.
And
when we
people
went through.
walk through here with these wet floors. They've tracked mud all over the rich carpeting that was
I
on
know. What's a mother to do?
Well, that's right. And yes, you made me feel a little bit better now than when I first signed on. And that's the story then. Things will be put in order for tomorrow's full day of operation of the Bob and Ray Trophy Train here in Harold. Now, this is radio's Wally Ballou, returning it.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway.
As we join our friends today, they're aboard the old Mal Hallett bus driven by Harry, heading north on Route 3, bound for Meredith, New Hampshire, in the opening of their summer theater tour with Westchester Furioso. And as Harry carefully keeps the speed at 55 miles per hour, we hear...
What kind of a bus is this? A twin coach? Looks like.
I don't really know, Calvin.
I haven't made these in a long time.
No, I can tell that. This must be 30 years old anyway.
Still says Mal Hallett on the front. And look here, somebody in with a pencil or dark pen, ink, something has written Canopy Lake Park, 1936.
Here's another one over here. Look, they wrote this in green chalk. It says, Nuttings on the Charles, 1937.
Boy, do you know about that?
Oh, that band got around all right.
Sure they did. Look at this one here, Pittsburgh, Massachusetts. Oh, my
There's
goodness.
Norumbega Park. Keep your eyes on the road, Harry. Yes, I will. Greg, you know how much
Commodore
further we-
Ballroom was his year. They must have played the Commodore Ballroom.
Right. Do you know how much further it is to Meredith, Greg? Oh, Greg.
Yeah.
Isn't back with Barry there, Harry?
I was just going over the road map here.
Yes. Do you know how far we are away from our destination?
Well, we're up through Billerica now. I suppose we should be getting up Nashua in about half an hour or so.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll be up into Meredith another 40 minutes after that. So I don't think we have too much time.
You going to pass that truck, Harry? Well, I was going to try to. You think I've got room enough? I'll give him the horn again. Maybe he'll pull over.
Careful, don't want to get in any trouble now.
You better not pass, Harry. I think I see a police car back there, back of that car behind us. All right, well, I'll stay in line.
Be careful now while you're driving, Harry. We don't want any nonsense up there, do we?
Right-o, Mary. Hey, I think that police car is signaling you to pull over, Harry. Yes, I think he is. He's not using his siren, though. Oh, yes, he is.
I don't think they want us. They probably want that car ahead with those four guys. Oh, no, they want us.
It's us. I'll pull over here. Wonder what he possibly could want. Yes, officer?
Yes. Where do you think you're going?
Why, we're going to Meredith, New Hampshire. We're the cast and crew of Westchester Furioso. I'm Harry Backstage,
How do you
famous
do?
Broadway star, beloved idol of a million other women, and this is my wife, Mary.
We have kids in this town, and we want to keep them.
Well, of course you do.
Well, I mean, what would the kids be doing out on a major route like this, officer?
Right.
Hey, don't give me any of your lip. Well, you sound like wise New Yorkers to me.
Well, yes, we are from New York. That's why we'd like to go right on through, may we?
That's like waving a red flag at me, buddy.
What do you mean?
Well, giving me a lot of back talk and sass, and then capping it off with telling me you're from New York.
Well, we're not
that really
giving,
does it in, boy.
not giving you any back talk and sass. We're supposed to open tomorrow.
Well, I'm
in
saying
Meredith.
that what are the kids doing out on a major highway like this? That's no way to talk to a uniformed upholder of the law. You know that.
I think he's probably right, Harry.
Now, you see, you don't have
Thank
an
you.
inspection on this bus. It caught my eye as you went by. I was dozing down there on back Billerica. You guys went by, and I picked you up out of the corner of my eye. This is an old bus.
I've been keeping the speed down to 55, though, officer. I've been very careful to follow the government's mandate.
You
in
see,
that.
this bus hasn't had a safety check in years. You see, you're supposed to have a thing right here in your windshield.
Well, Mr. Marlowe back there was supposed to take care of it. Greg?
Yeah.
The officer says there's no inspection sticker on this Malhallett bus.
Well, don't hang it on me. You're the driver.
You arranged to hire it, didn't you?
You're the driver. Talk him out of it. Do something.
Yes, Harry, do something, for heaven's sakes.
And so a police officer stops the bus carrying our friends to Meredith, New Hampshire. Will they be able to continue on their way or be delayed in opening Westchester Furioso? Be sure and join us tomorrow when we'll hear Calvin say,
What are you putting cuffs on us for?
that's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage Noble What? Word car speaking. How are you?
Good, everybody.
I saw Chester Frisbee a little bit earlier, and Kent Lyle is on his way down the hall from the front reception
Like
desk.
you meet Miss McGold.
Hello, it's good to be here
Yes.
with you today. It's a lot warmer today than yesterday, isn't
But,
it?
you know, there's a good breeze. There's a good, over there on 6th Avenue, or Avenue of the Americas. Which do you call it, Mary?
6th Avenue, I
Yeah.
guess I'm old-fashioned.
Makes you true New Yorkers, you do.
Afternoon, Bob and Ray.
You know, funny you say it's warmer today. It just feels that way. It was 76 yesterday at this time, but of course it was a beautiful, clear, low humidity
Yeah.
day. Today, humidity isn't that much higher, though. It's only 56%.
Well, there's a good breeze, though. I just walked over from the Times Square tap, and it's not unpleasant at all. I wouldn't mind being out for the remainder of the afternoon.
But now, listen, let's try to analyze this. How come yesterday at this same time was 76, about 40% humidity, and it was a lot cooler, nicer?
Why don't you call Dr. Bob? He always helps you. And now the Auburn Motor Company, maker of fine cars up to, but not including 1938, brings you another episode of The Gathering Dusk, the heartwarming story of a girl who faces misfortune in a world where she never intended to live. As we look in on the Bessinger household today, Edna is feeding both goldfish in the downstairs dining room. It's late afternoon, and Dr. Isley, the director of the Red Boiling Springs branch of the county health department, has just arrived.
Oh, it's you, Deputy County Health Director Isley. I'm glad you could come so soon. I was afraid you might be out joyriding somewhere in that new trailer of yours.
No, I don't use that trailer for pleasure at all, Miss Bessinger. It's the county's mobile X-ray unit.
Well, I suppose you could get an X-ray machine in a trailer that big, but you'd certainly have to cut down on the size of the bar and the liquor cabinet.
Well, there's no bar or liquor cabinet in there, just a lot of medical equipment.
That seems rather strange. Where do you sleep when you take it on camping trips?
I don't take the trailer on camping trips, Miss Bessinger. That's not what it's designed for.
Well, that's really a pity. I always thought that half the fun of having a trailer would be to go on camping trips.
Well, if you have a house trailer, I guess that's true.
Well, that's my whole point. If you just shopped around a little, I'm sure you could have found one with beds and a little kitchen and all the other conveniences.
Yes, I suppose so. And if you think we made a bad purchase, I'm not going to argue the point with you. But I don't imagine you called me over here just to discuss the trailer anyway.
No, you're entirely right about that, Deputy County Health Director Isley. I was reading in the paper this morning about the big yellow fever outbreak, and I'm just sure I've caught it.
Well, I don't think that's possible, Miss Bessinger. That epidemic they were describing in the paper is somewhere in Pakistan. We haven't had a case of yellow fever in this county for many years.
Well, I don't know how I caught it, but I have all the symptoms. The heat's been turned off here in the house for months, and still I feel as though I'm burning up with fever.
Well, it is terribly warm in here. Heat seems to be pouring through that doorway from the kitchen. And I can see you have your oven door open. Is there any chance the oven could be turned on?
Great suffering catfish. That's a strong possibility, Deputy County Health Director Isley. I was so disappointed when my cake fell this morning that I just stalked out of the kitchen in a huff. And I'll bet having the oven turned on full blast all day could make me think I was running a high fever. My stars, you just can't know what a relief it is to find out that my condition is curable. I suddenly feel as if I'm no longer standing in the gathering dusk.
Can it be that Edna's quick recovery from the symptoms of yellow fever may at last enable her to find happiness? Or will the exorbitant gas bill that results from leaving the oven turned on all day merely lead to further heartbreak? Be sure to join us for the next exciting episode when Edna may have her service cut off in the gathering dusk.
We're wondering where you'd been.
Well, Chet and I are very concerned over the mystery of the Buffalo Gals.
What do you mean, mystery?
Well, we went over to see the Buffalo Gals per arrangement last Friday in the Oranges, and they weren't home.
Uh-oh.
And we called them on Sunday, and they weren't home.
Oh, maybe...
Called them this morning, and they weren't home.
Did they answer the phone and say we're not home, or...?
No, they just didn't answer.
No answer? Oh, well,
They didn't tell us they were going anywhere. As far as we knew, they were going to stay in town.
Well, you know, it was a week, and maybe they went away somewhere. Could very well be, although you had made plans to meet them Friday?
Friday night, that's right.
Oh, I think that we have something on our hands here.
I don't hope they're not trying to dodge us. Do you think that would be possible, or...?
Well, I wouldn't want to make an observation along those lines for fear of hurting your feelings, but you fellas haven't exactly been, the most gallant gentlemen ever.
You haven't really been a couple of Romeos like they may be expecting,
You weren't, as they say, exactly Mr. Excitement as far as the Buffalo Girls go.
Well, no, I fell asleep on the sofa a couple of times.
Right.
And then I backed the car over the lawn once.
Right, and burnt the lawn badly.
Burnt the lawn, but we fixed that all up. I don't see how they could be holding that against us now.
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm lost for an answer. Maybe try to call them a little bit later right here on the air, and maybe we can...
That's a good idea. I'll do that.
Let's do that, and we'll get it right on the air, and everybody will know what happened.
Okay, Ray, you made me feel 100% better.
I hope so. I don't want you to worry needlessly.
I'll be back.
Very good.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of America's favorite family of the footlights and their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway.
It's moments after our last episode now. Harry, Mary, Pop, Calvin, and Greg Marlowe, together with other members of the Westchester Furioso cast, have been stopped by a policeman in Billerica, Massachusetts. And as we join them, we hear the policeman say,
Well, now that I think about it, I don't suppose you've been violating too many regulations. This bus at least was checked last September, so maybe I can overlook a few points.
that certainly would be
that's
kind of you,
right.
officer. As I said, I've been keeping it down to 55 miles an hour and trying to observe all of the rules of the road as I could.
Well, I've taken that into consideration, too. And I want you to feel welcome here in our Bay State. And I understand now that you're very famous people, and although I've never seen you perform, I
yes.
can tell by the cut of your jib that you're all right.
I am the beloved idol of a million other women.
Don't need to insult us that way. You didn't say anything about the cut of your jib.
He certainly doesn't talk like somebody from Billerica.
That's not meant as an insult, young man. I'm not originally from this area.
Oh, I see. Have you taken voice lessons? Or?
No, I was here at Fort Devens, and I loved it here so much I thought I'd stay on. No, originally I'm from Woonsocket.
I see. Well, thanks again, officer. We'll be on our way then, I guess, to Meredith, New Hampshire.
Thanks again, officer. Listen, if you're ever in New York, I'm a big Broadway producer. Listen, you have a good time, you hear?
And if you ever get up to Meredith, New Hampshire, drop in and see our show if you can. Yes, we'll give you free tickets to the show if you can drop in. Greg, I'm going to start the bus now.
Fine. Go right ahead. Well, we got out of that mix-up pretty well.
Yes, we certainly did.
That was great.
He certainly turned out to be a different sort of chap than I thought. Here we go, everybody.
Look at that cloud of smoke coming out the rear. This is really burning oil. Isn't it?
Yeah, it does. Needs a rake job, but we'll be able to get to Meredith all right. And 2 hours later, Harry pulls the bus onto Main Street in Meredith, New Hampshire. This it, I guess.
It's not Main Street, though. This is High Street, but it's just the street above Main.
Well, the hotel is on Main Street, isn't
it
it?
makes no difference. It's only a short walk.
Where are we staying, Greg?
Staying in a hotel on Main Street.
Uh-huh. Well, I'd better go over another block then,
Yeah.
if I can start the bus.
Don't make any left turns here. We don't want to cause any grief, you know.
Yes, I know.
You know, this bus has burnt almost 3 quarts of oil since we were stopped by the police officer back there in Billerica.
Well, that was 2 hours ago. That's not too bad.
All right, just go up the block and then down to Main Street.
Right. All right. This is it, I guess. The new Meredith house.
That's it.
That's it, the new Meredith house.
Calvin and I will help get the baggage out if you want to go in and register, Harry. All right.
Well, let me go with you, Harry.
Maybe Greg should register for all of us since he's producing the
I'll stay
show.
here and supervise the unpacking. I want you to sign, Harry.
All right, Greg.
Good. For all of us, if you would.
Don't quite understand, but I'll be glad to do that. I'll be right back. Come on, Mary.
Fine, all right.
Well, there they go.
Yeah.
Not too many people here, is there?
No, but the hotel doesn't look too bad. Got a new coat of paint on it.
Yeah.
I suppose all the people are out in the fields working, don't you?
All the natives. I understand this is a wonderful place to buy lace. Maybe they're all at home making lace. This is the lace capital of the world.
Is that right? Meredith, New Hampshire. I didn't know that.
That's what I heard.
Huh.
And
I know they're a theater-loving
good
crowd.
place to look for rocks, too, they say.
Oh, gem rocks?
All kinds of rocks. Some are semi-precious and some are precious.
Uh-huh.
Look right here on the street, for instance. Is that a precious rock?
No, that's just a plain old stone. It's not.
I thought you went with Harry, Mary.
What's that?
I say, I thought you went with Harry to register. And so our friends have arrived in Meredith, New Hampshire. And tomorrow, they begin rehearsals for their opening. Be sure and join us tomorrow when we'll hear Mary say,
I'm not here, I'm outside.
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Merry Backstage Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking. Hello, Bob and Ray. Kent was telling us a rather scary development in your relationship with the Buffalo Gals.
Oh, what was that?
He was saying that you called on them on Friday per arrangements that had been made, and they weren't home. Then you tried to reach them by phone Saturday, Sunday, and this morning, and no answer.
Oh, he must be dreaming.
What do you mean?
Well, we called them Friday night, and they said they were washing their hair.
And Saturday, Sunday?
They answered and politely had other arrangements made.
Well, this is very...
And I accepted it.
Kent acted as if you hadn't been able to make any contact with them, that they just disappeared off the face of the earth.
I'm seeing you're a young lady in Woodside these days anyway, and maybe... I thought maybe Kent could go his way and I could go mine.
Well, I'm sure this is a change in plans as far as Kent goes. I don't think he had any word of that.
Well, I don't understand what Kent was talking about.
Well, maybe I'd better buzz for him, and you two guys have it out here.
I don't have anything to out about. He came in complaining, as I understand it.
Well, he was complete. He sounded as if he and
Did he
you...
sound sober?
No.
Well, then, that's the problem. I mean, really, he's...
Well, he wasn't bad.
He's something else again.
Well,
he has a very, very faulty memory.
Yes, I know that.
And another thing is he dreams a lot. And then he wakes up and he can't tell the difference between reality and the dream.
Afternoon.
Here he comes now.
Hello, Bob and Ray. Hi, Kent.
What happened to the bell on the door, guys?
I don't know.
Sounds like it's stuck. Maybe I'll go get Carmine. Maybe he can fix it.
Okay.
Oh, it's hanging there. See?
Yes. How have you been, Bob? Oh.
See?
Oh. That doesn't make me feel any better. Well,
what?
Yes.
I've been trying to fix the bell on the door. I don't know what you guys are
I've been trying to figure out where the Buffalo Gals are.
Well, don't look at me, buddy.
Oh, hello, Chad.
Hi, how you been? What's all this baloney about you calling the Buffalo Gals and they're not home and one thing and another? I called them Friday night and they said they were washing their hair.
Well, they didn't answer the phone when I called them. I wonder why they'd give you one story and wouldn't answer the phone for me.
You don't have any idea why that would be, eh? Uh-oh.
Hey, look, guys. We got to get everybody over to the other studio for the backstages. Come on, let's have a commercial. Then everybody... Uh-oh. Listen to that bell. Oh, boy.
Next, Merry Backstage Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the footlights and their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. It's shortly after our last episode now. Our friends have checked into the new Meredith House and now are joining Greg Marlowe at the Town Hall, where they'll open tomorrow night in Westchester Furioso. And we hear Greg say,
Hope the rooms are to your satisfaction.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, they're fine.
Yeah, it's a pretty good hotel.
They had... I'm on a bunk, you know. In my room, there are 2 bunks.
Well, one is for Calvin, one's for me, I guess.
Are you going to be in the room with me?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just took the bottom bunk and threw my clothes on the top bunk. And my shaving kit, my dock kit.
Well, you can work that out when we get back to the hotel. Greg, are we going to look inside and see how the stage looks and see if the scenery's arrived and everything?
Just a moment. I just want to be sure that the facilities are all right.
Uh-huh.
Your room and Mary's is...
Oh, yes,
Fine.
it's fine.
Hello, I'm Greg Marlowe.
Now we can go in, Mr. Marlowe.
Hello, I'm Greg Marlowe. I'm the producer of the show. Anybody here? Hello?
Howdy, Bob.
Yes, hello, I'm Greg Marlowe.
Oh,
I'm the producer of the show.
nice to meet you, Mr. Marlowe. I'm Wallace Peavy.
I assume that you're the stage manager?
Yeah, that's right. You the show folks from New York, eh?
That's right. This is Mr. and Mrs. Backstage.
How do you do?
This is Calvin Hoogerman.
Howdy.
Hello.
This is Pop Elliott.
Hello, Mr. Peavy.
Howdy,
Nice
Bob.
theater you have here.
Well, we kind of like it. Round here, it serves the purpose.
How many seats you have in this house?
220.
220, eh?
It'll be about the smallest house we've played, won't it, Greg?
I would think so, yes.
Well, at least they're wooden seats. They're good and strong.
Do you have facilities at the rear of the theater to sell warm orange juice and so forth?
Yeah, we'll take care of all that. I want you to look at your scenery. It arrived this morning.
All right.
Come on right up on the stage. Understand the show is called something Furioso?
Westchester, you don't have microphones here. We'll have to project our voices, won't we?
We're terribly spoiled in that respect. We've been used to mics.
Done that in a long time.
No, we don't use no PA system in here. Let me raise the curtain.
What was the last show that ever played here, Mr. Peavy?
I think it was New Faces of 1956.
That came up here, New Faces?
Yeah, went on tour.
Oh, I didn't know that. 1956. There hasn't been used in almost 20 years, I gather.
What have you been doing all that time, Mr. Peavy?
Well, just making sure that nobody walks off with nothing.
Well, there isn't anything here to walk off with. Even the chairs aren't upholstered, are they?
No, not upholstered. Keeps the audience awake.
Yeah. How old is this theater?
Oh, she goes back to 1871, I think.
Oh my, it's all. Look, I'm out here. Look, in back of the seats.
What's that, Mary?
There's a little peppermint dispenser. It calls for a nickel. Get a box of peppermints. That shows you how old this theater is.
Yeah, there's a few peppermints still in there in some of them.
Well, I don't think I want to have those peppermints. They're probably petrified.
Petrified is hardly the word. They're scared stiff.
Now, if you folks want to go on finding fault with the theater...
No, we're not finding fault. We just get a kick out of you rubes, you know.
Yeah. Well, us apple knockers ain't as petrified as you may think.
I know.
Well, if everything's all right, I'm going to lock up here.
What do you mean lock up? We want to have a run-through.
Sure.
I mean, you're going to go through the show right here?
Well, we have to, of course. Have the musicians arrived yet?
I ain't seen them, no.
How's the sale going?
Well,
Ticket sales?
up through now, we've sold about 52 seats.
And I understand they're all in the balcony.
That's right. You got nobody down in the orchestra yet. But I think they'll go. There may be a sale at the door, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, as they say in New York, break a leg.
And so, our friends prepare for the opening of Westchester Furioso in Meredith, New Hampshire at the Town Hall tomorrow night. You want to join us tomorrow when we'll hear Calvin say,
Look back here. That was Booth's autograph.
that's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking.
Bob and Ray Trophy Train, which is at a siding in Harold, Long Island, Harold Junction, out in Sunnyside near Woodside. Come in, please, Wally Ballou.
This evening, they expect that there will be probably a record crowd of some 4,000 or 5,000 people approaching the train, going aboard it, looking at the Bob and Ray memorabilia, partaking of some of the food items that are on sale, and then buying souvenirs of their visit here to mark the day that they won't soon forget. There's one, Mr. Gilmore.
Yes, sir?
Can you edge over here? Don't get too close to that other track.
We're close to this. That switcher, you know, keeps running these trains
I know.
out of here.
I know that. You want to bring us up to date. It looks as if we've got a record turnout here on this second day.
You better move in, Mr. Ballou.
Yeah. The second day the train has been in town.
Make me nervous standing over the edge of the track that way.
Yes.
Now, what did you ask me?
I say it looks like a record.
Stand back. Wait a minute.
Well, a turnout for the second day of the train here.
Well, we've discovered that there's no way for people to get here to the trophy train unless they cross about 11 sets of tracks. Now, this is an oversight, and of course, I'll have to...
Who's to blame for that?
I'll have to assume all responsibility because I'm the manager of this trophy train. Although, believe me, I didn't select Harold as the spot for the trophy train. And these few people that you hear now are people who work in the yard. Mostly, they clean out the Pullmans and bring the ice for the club cars and so forth.
Watch it.
Just,
Stand up. I think...
Hold it. Watch it.
Well,
I'm the same to you, buddy.
that was close. I'd be given a signal to sign off.
Brother.
My time is short. I'll report in again tomorrow.
Have a good evening and a pleasant tomorrow. Till then, Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
This is WOR New York.